The day you stop living for everyone else is the day your real life begins. Most people will never tell you this because it makes them uncomfortable. They want you available. They want you agreeable. They want you sacrificing. They want you saying yes when you want to say no. They want you putting yourself last because it benefits them when you do. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that being a good person meant abandoning yourself. You started believing that your worth was measured by how much you could give, how much you could tolerate, how much you could sacrifice, how much of yourself you could lose for other people. And now you're exhausted, not because life is difficult, because you've been carrying responsibilities that were never yours to carry. You've been trying to save people who don't want to save themselves. You've been trying to fix people who don't want to change. You've been trying to earn love that should have been given freely. You've been trying to prove your worth to people who already decided not to see it. And every time you did, you lost a little piece of yourself. That's why I need you to understand something. Choosing yourself is not selfish. Abandoning yourself is. Think about that. For years, you've been taught that putting yourself first is wrong, that prioritizing your happiness is selfish, that setting boundaries is selfish, that protecting your peace is selfish, that saying no is selfish. But nobody calls it selfish when people expect unlimited access to your energy. Nobody calls it selfish when people take and take and take without giving anything back. Nobody calls it selfish when someone constantly disrespects your time. So why is it selfish when you finally decide to protect yourself? The answer is simple. People often benefit from the version of you that has no boundaries. And when you start changing, they become uncomfortable. Not because you're doing something wrong, because you're no longer easy to control. The moment you start valuing yourself, some people will accuse you of changing. And they're right. You are changing. You're becoming someone who understands that self-respect matters. You're becoming someone who understands that your energy is valuable. You're becoming someone who understands that not everyone deserves unlimited access to your life. And that's growth. But the truth is that many people spend years trying to make everyone happy. They become experts at understanding everyone else's needs, everyone else's emotions, everyone else's problems, everyone else's expectations. But they never stop long enough to ask themselves a simple question. What do I need? What do I want? What kind of life do I want to create? Because they've become so focused on everyone else that they've completely forgotten themselves. And eventually that creates resentment. You start feeling invisible, unappreciated, taken for granted. You wonder why nobody seems to care about you the way you care about them. But here's the painful truth. You taught them that your needs come last. Every time you ignored your own boundaries, you taught people what to expect. Every time you accepted disrespect, you taught people what was allowed. Every time you sacrificed your peace to keep someone comfortable, you taught people that your comfort didn't matter. People learn how to treat you by watching how you treat yourself. And that's why self-respect changes everything. The moment you respect yourself, your standards change. The moment your standards change, your life changes. Because you stop accepting things that damage your future. You stop chasing people who don't choose you. You stop explaining your value to people determined to misunderstand it. You stop begging for attention. You stop settling for less than you deserve. And something incredible happens. You become free. Free from the need to please everyone, free from the fear of disappointing people, free from the addiction to validation, free from constantly seeking approval. And freedom is powerful. Most people are trapped, not by circumstances, by opinions. They're afraid to start because someone might judge them, afraid to leave because someone might criticize them, afraid to change because someone might not understand. They're living their entire lives according to expectations that don't belong to them. And then they wonder why they're unhappy. You cannot build an authentic life while constantly asking for permission. At some point, you have to decide that your life belongs to you, not your friends, not your family, not society, you. And with that decision comes responsibility. Because becoming selfish in a healthy way doesn't mean hurting others. It means finally taking responsibility for yourself, your happiness, your growth, your healing, your future. It means understanding that nobody can do those things for you. Nobody can heal your wounds for you. Nobody can build your confidence for you. Nobody can create your dream life for you. Nobody can become the best version of you except you. That's why the most important relationship in your life is the one you have with yourself. Not because other people don't matter, because everything begins there. The way you treat yourself teaches the world how to treat you. The standards you set for yourself become the standards you accept from others. The respect you give yourself becomes the respect you demand. And if you don't value yourself, you'll spend your life accepting things that destroy your peace. You'll stay in situations that drain you. You'll stay around people who diminish you. You'll continue shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you, all because you're afraid of choosing yourself. But let me ask you something. How much has abandoning yourself actually helped you? Has it made you happier? Has it made you more fulfilled? Has it brought you the life you want? Or has it simply made you tired? Because that's what happens when you spend years putting yourself last. Eventually, there's nothing left to give. That's why your next chapter requires a different approach. It requires courage. The courage to disappoint people, the courage to set boundaries, the courage to walk away, the courage to say no, the courage to prioritize your future over temporary approval, because every successful person eventually learns the same lesson. You cannot build an extraordinary life while making everyone comfortable. Sometimes growth will offend people. Sometimes boundaries will disappoint people. Sometimes success will make people uncomfortable. And that's okay. Your responsibility is not to manage everyone's emotions. Your responsibility is to build a life you respect, a life you're proud of, a life that reflects your potential. And that starts the moment you stop apologizing for taking care of yourself. The moment you stop feeling guilty for protecting your energy. The moment you stop sacrificing your future to satisfy other people's expectations, that's when everything begins to change. Because the version of you that changes your life is not the version trying to please everyone. It's the version finally willing to choose themselves. Now, here's where most people get confused. They think choosing themselves means becoming cold. They think setting boundaries means becoming mean. They think protecting their peace means they no longer care about people. That's not true. A healthy level of selfishness is not about hurting others. It's about refusing to hurt yourself. There is a difference. A person who never says no eventually becomes exhausted. A person who never prioritizes themselves eventually becomes resentful. A person who constantly gives without recharging eventually becomes empty. And an empty person cannot give genuine love. An empty person cannot lead. An empty person cannot build. An empty person cannot become who they're meant to be. That's why choosing yourself is not selfish. It's necessary. Think about an airplane. They tell you to put on your own oxygen mask before helping someone else. Not because you're more important, because if you can't breathe, you can't help anyone. Life works the same way. If you're constantly drained, you cannot show up as your best self. If you're constantly sacrificing your mental health, your dreams, your energy, and your future, eventually everyone loses, including you. And here's something that changed my perspective forever. The people who genuinely love you want to see you thrive. They want to see you healthy. They want to see you growing. They want to see you becoming your best self. The people who become angry when you create boundaries often benefited from your lack of them. Pay attention to that. Not everyone who dislikes your growth is concerned about your well-being. Some people simply miss having access to the version of you that accepted everything. The version that never said no. The version that tolerated disrespect, the version that ignored their own needs. But that version cannot take you where you want to go. You have outgrown that version, and growth requires letting go. Letting go of guilt, letting go of people pleasing, letting go of the need to explain every decision, letting go of the fear of being misunderstood. One of the most powerful things you'll ever learn is that not everyone needs to understand your journey. Not everyone needs an explanation. Not everyone needs your permission to form an opinion. People will judge you no matter what. If you stay the same, they'll judge you. If you change, they'll judge you. If you succeed, they'll judge you. If you fail, they'll judge you. So why build your life around opinions that constantly change? Build your life around principles. Build your life around values. Build your life around goals. Because opinions come and go. Character remains. And let's talk about something even deeper. Many people don't actually hate themselves. They've just spent so many years abandoning themselves that they've forgotten how to trust themselves. Think about how many promises you've made to yourself. I'll start tomorrow. I'll stop procrastinating. I'll work on my goals. I'll take care of my health. I'll finally choose myself. And then life happened. And you broke the promise again and again and again. Eventually, your confidence didn't disappear because you weren't capable. It disappeared because you stopped believing your own word. That's why rebuilding your life starts with rebuilding trust. Not trust in other people, trust in yourself. Keep one promise, then another, then another. Wake up when you said you would. Finish what you started. Do the workout. Read the book. Take the risk. Have the difficult conversation. Show up. Every time you follow through, you send yourself a message. You tell yourself, I can count on me. And that message changes everything because self-confidence is not created by compliments. It's created by evidence. Evidence that you can handle challenges. Evidence that you can stay disciplined. Evidence that you can survive discomfort. Evidence that you can keep going when things become difficult. That's why the strongest people are not necessarily the most talented. They're the most consistent. They've learned something that most people never understand. Success is not built in moments of excitement. Success is built in moments of boredom. When nobody is watching, when motivation disappears, when excuses sound reasonable, that's when character is revealed. That's when futures are created. Anyone can be motivated for a day. Anyone can be inspired for a weekend. But who are you on ordinary days? Who are you when the excitement is gone? Who are you when progress feels slow? Who are you when nobody notices your effort? That person determines your future. Because extraordinary lives are built through ordinary actions repeated consistently. The gym doesn't change your life in one day. Reading doesn't change your life in one day. Discipline doesn't change your life in one day. But repeated long enough, they change everything. And here's what happens when you truly start choosing yourself. You stop chasing. You stop begging. You stop convincing. You stop forcing. You stop trying to make people see your value because you already see it. And once you see your own value, everything shifts. You no longer tolerate situations that diminish your confidence. You no longer stay where you're constantly disrespected. You no longer cling to people who repeatedly show you they don't appreciate you. You understand a powerful truth. Not everyone is meant to stay in your life. Some people are lessons, some people are chapters, some people are temporary, and that's okay. Your job is not to hold on to everything. Your job is to continue growing. The strongest version of you understands that letting go is sometimes an act of self-respect. Walking away is sometimes an act of self-respect. Choosing yourself is always an act of self-respect. And self-respect changes everything. Because when you respect yourself, your standards rise. When your standards rise, your choices improve. When your choices improve, your life improves. It's a chain reaction, a powerful one. That's why the life you want is not hidden somewhere outside of you. It's hidden inside the decisions you make every day. The decision to protect your peace, the decision to prioritize your growth, the decision to stop settling. The decision to stop shrinking. The decision to stop apologizing for becoming who you're meant to be. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. Imagine waking up stronger, calmer, healthier, more disciplined, more confident, more focused. Imagine looking back at this version of yourself and realizing that everything changed because you finally stopped abandoning yourself, because you finally stopped making yourself the last priority in your own life, because you finally understood that your dreams matter, your goals matter, your peace matters, your future matters, and most importantly, you matter. Not because someone else says so, not because you earned it, not because you proved it, because your value was never something that needed to be earned. It was always there. The problem is that you've spent too much time looking for it in places that could never give it to you. Now it's time to bring that power back home, back to yourself, back to your standards, back to your future, back to the person you're becoming. So stop feeling guilty for choosing yourself. Stop apologizing for having boundaries. Stop explaining why your peace matters. Stop sacrificing your future for temporary approval. You have one life, one mind, one body, one opportunity to become the person you're capable of becoming. Don't waste it trying to make everyone happy. Use it to make yourself proud. Because the day you finally choose yourself is the day your life begins moving in the direction it was always meant to go. And when that day comes, you'll realize something incredible. Becoming selfish wasn't the best thing you ever did. Learning to value yourself was.